And we are here in several platforms, but the most interesting of all, we are on Twitter in English, and we will be talking about business. What are we going to be talking about? We're going to be talking about what it is that I bring to the table, that in order to get the information, you have to be pretty expert in the other dimensions. My history, I was in a program that has still not been declassified, the US government, secret program, since I was a child. And it was for mind expansion, seeking human potential, and ultimately learning how to do magic. What is magic? It's not a magic show. Magic is changing reality without moving a finger, but moving a lot of stuff in the other dimensions. I am going to just go ahead and let everything hang out. I'm not going to try to do this like a regular systematic, I have my outline and I'm going to follow it. That's not the way I produce my best materials anyway. When you're creative, you are all over the place. That's what creativity is. You're not going down one path. I'm going to be very creative now. And we are going to start to teach you about being multidimensional and applying it to your business. So today, what I wanted to show you to start out with for you to read later was an article that I wrote several years ago that landed me an extremely large contract, and I'm talking very large, having to do with national resource, that large. So I go to look for the link to show to you. Can't find the article. Many times I have tried to share this article and it's always gone, and I have to go to the webmaster and they put it back up again. Okay, so finally I tried it an hour ago, gone, can't find it, page not found, and then we got it fixed within 2 seconds, and it is, I'll put it on in a couple of minutes, but let me show you, let me start this training. By the way, you should sign up for all of my trainings on prosperity. We teach you how to get out of your own way in the other dimensions. We teach you how to get your focus and vitalize and energize your intentions. And we also teach you how to find within yourself that you have some intentions that sabotage you, that are savvy, kind of someplace inside of you, you kind of know when you sabotage. But let me show you, let's start this session with this, which is the photograph on my website of this article that I want you to see. First place, we couldn't find it. Okay, sabotage from the spirits, could be from the intelligence community. It doesn't really matter. They both operate the same. So this is the photograph. Well, that doesn't work. I'm a psychic. My eyes are closed. What's that all about? And then look what it says in the upper left-hand corner, that if you do not speak Spanish, you're going to go, I don't know what that says. It's not my language. Well, let me tell you what it says. It says, our intention to be protected. And this darn page has not been protected. When I want to show it, it's gone. So if you don't think about the other dimensions, then you're not going to think about what kind of interference was there when we chose the photograph for this article. A psychic with the eyes closed? Doesn't make any sense. And this thing about protection, I think this page needs protecting, and you would be correct. Everything is a sign. I have to tell you, God is really creative. Not God, okay, who? Jesus Christ? Who do you believe in? It doesn't matter. They are really creative when it comes to sending you messages. That on that page, that is such an important page. It's like people don't really contract me because of the page, even though that did start a process. It wasn't the page. It's the information that's on that page about how to look at your business multidimensionally, which stacks the deck in your favor. But just looking at that, we see several things where the universe, God, Jesus, whoever you want to believe in, angels, is saying to me, hello, open your eyes. You need more protection. Yeah, I actually know that already. but I need to take care of the protection on that page. And I haven't. All I do is complain every time I go and it's not working. That's not really savvy, is it? Okay. Everything is a sign. Everything is a wall blocking you or something pushing you or pointing you in a direction. And you have to get savvy about that. So when I started in the 90s and came out of what I call the psychic closet, no, I'm not gay. It was a psychic closet, a closet with a lot of psychics that were hiding in it. When I came out, I realized that people don't respect psychics. Okay. I'm sure there's a lot of charlatans out there. But I needed for people to respect me because I had stuff I wanted to tell them that I learned because I had been in this god-awful, torturous program. I got some stuff from there. I want to teach you. I want to teach you what I learned there and apply it to your business. You apply it to your business or contract me, but I'm not here promoting a contract. I'm here promoting you to expand your lens on your world so that you can actually be making decisions based on your reality, because your reality is not limited to the physical dimension. So I came out of the psychic closet. I said, okay, I was in this program and I'm apparently very skilled and I want to apply it. And then that's when I got on TV with all the work I did with kids, particularly autism, which I don't take care of anymore because I figured it out and society is not ready to deal with autism. Because in order to deal with autism, you have to be really multidimensional, and people aren't ready for that. They want, what pill do I need to take? Well, not a pill thing. It's not a pill thing. So I said, I want to do business because I was in business. The company that I started is now 54 years old and extremely successful, and was only weakened when my intention to run it got really weak because I was tired, I was bored. So anyway, so I said, I want to also work in business, which is a strength that I have. And it was interesting because, listen to this carefully and breathe as I'm speaking, because you're not going to like what I'm going to say next. People ask me about their businesses. Practically every single time, I would say it's not going to work. That partner's not going to work. That venture's not going to work. Don't even bother trying it. It's not going to work. It's not going to be successful. And people were very upset at me because at that point I didn't have the reputation I have today, that when I say something, most people go, I better pay attention. Then it was like, she probably doesn't know anything about business or she's wrong. 5 years later, I looked back and I had already had plenty of people that had come back or that I knew personally. And what I had said about the business ventures was totally accurate. But it wasn't until 5 years later that I picked up the statistics on success or failure of new ventures in the United States. And I think the failure rate is like 96%. Well, you know what? I wasn't off. I was totally right on. So there were so many different factors, and what it is that put each one of those businesses that I read under. At the point at which I was working with the people, I told them. They didn't accept it, I'm sure. Or maybe they did, I don't really know. But I knew at that point why it wasn't going to work. Same way I set up a radio show that was extremely successful. Wow, did we successful in terms of people loving it. Even other radio stations called and said, you should get syndicated, which we will be very soon. But it didn't work. And an astrologer that I had on the show called me one day. She said, listen, your show is great. Yeah. I said, yeah, but it's not. She said, well, astrologically, you're really not supported. I already knew what that meant. The planets were not going to be friendly with what I was looking to do at that point, which was to get syndicated on the radio. I had the quality. I had the ability. I had the staff, but I wasn't supported energetically. It actually was not time for me, and the astrology would have supported that. It wasn't time for me to become an internationally recognized psychic. And astrologically, I was not able to be at that point. It went down. So you should get yourself an astrological reading. You don't believe in it, it's okay. Get it tape recorded and put it away and listen to it 6 months later, because you might find that 6 months later there's some information out there that's going to help you. Psychics are good for information, they're good in the other dimensions. When it comes to timing, I learned the hard way that astrology is where you can get some tips, some information that can help you to not throw away a lot of money. I spent, this would have been 10 years ago, 15 years ago, I think it was $80,000, which at that point was a ton of money. It was certainly a ton of money to spend on a radio show that didn't last but 2 or 3 months. It was a lot of money. Didn't matter what I did. It was great. Everybody said it was great. And then they were like scratching their head. What happened? I was not supported energetically because it was not my time to become well known. So what are you doing? Is it your time to become whatever it is that business venture, where that will put you? Is it time? Are you wanting something before you're able to sustain it, or before that thing that you want takes you down? If you become big enough in something, in a business venture, but in terms of your personal evolution, which is going to win out every time, if you are not substantive, if energetically you're not able to tolerate the success, the powers that be, God, Jesus, the angels, your inner self, won't let you have it or will take it away. And I'll just say a short story because people seem to like the personal references and stories. I had my group many, many years ago. We had a person within the group that had written an incredible book about spirits at a time when there was very little put out in the market. Today, there's too many. She couldn't get to first base with the book, and we all thought it was incredible, but we thought that everybody would think it was incredible, not just us. She never made it. So everybody came to me and said, do me a favor, would you check out why is this not happening? Today, I would not do that because honestly, it was none of our business why it wasn't happening. It was really the author's business. But the whole thing with boundaries with when you're a psychic is very iffy. But anyway, so I checked, and what I was told was she could not sustain the success of that book. That book was so good that she would have become extremely successful, but she could not tolerate it. She had not done her personal work. She was wobbling and using and thinking that this book and this magical information she was going to give the public, that this was a good thing, and it was a good thing, but there had to be an author behind it. In other words, once the book got published, people were going to come back to her. She wasn't going to be able to sustain it because of personal development and where she was at in her life. So in terms of the business that you want, are you going to get supported in the other dimensions? Does your personal life support what you're looking for? Do you have subconscious intentions that are sabotaging what you're doing? My goodness, I had so much of that. I had more intentions to sabotage becoming a public person than I had intention to become well enough known that my information would get out to millions of people. Well, my fear of the government, the mafia that was controlling me and wanted to continue using me for free, um, a lot of things were sabotaging. And I was sabotaging because I was afraid of them. Are you sabotaging your projects? Or are all of your projects ending up exactly the same way? In a failure, or with somebody leaving, or somebody stealing money. And you go, yeah, yeah, oh, yeah. Somebody always steals money. They leave us without money and we have to close down the venture, the project. Well, that's a pattern. So if you're a regular person, you have a terrible pattern. If you are multidimensionally oriented, you go, I've got a pattern. Oh, thank God. Now I know. Let me do the ancestral mantra to eliminate that pattern. And the mantra is really very simple. And I'm not going to take the time to write it because I don't want to lose my train of thought, because I'm sure I'm getting plenty of other dimensional interference in this chat. And if I do something else, I'm going to lose whatever. But see, I already lost it. I lost my train of thought. The mantra for when you've discovered that you have a pattern that repeats and repeats, and that's with marriages and with kids, everything, but now we're talking business, is please God, help me with my intention to heal my ancestral patterns of business failure, or my ancestral patterns of people stealing from me. You repeat the mantra in silence. You do not move your mouth with the words. You use the mouth only to expel breath. You breathe. You repeat the mantras in your head. You expel the breath through your mouth. Please God, help me with my intention to purify my ancestral vasanas of this project. Let's say you already have a project, you already have a business, and it will get taken care of. Mind creates reality. Mantras, by definition, are a device that liberates the mind. You will be liberated of that pattern that you brought in from other incarnations. You don't believe in other incarnations? You don't have to leave yet. Don't leave. How on earth are you going to be successful in this new world where everything is new if you hear something that you weren't taught to believe in and then you shut it down and you leave? You can't do that. You have to listen. You don't have to institute any procedures because of it. Like, you listen to me. She was a psychic spy. I don't trust her. Okay, don't trust me, but listen to me. Because that training gave me this that I'm giving you now. It makes me angry. Yes, yes. Do you know how much stuff can be said about me? It's embarrassing. It's shaming. I'm not letting shame keep me in that closet. No, sir. Because you see, my lens is wide enough to where I understand that I chose all of that stuff that I went through because I wanted to reach this point to teach about the other dimensions. Because at this point, it's everything. We have a very cooperative follower of mine who has put up the mantra. So you take a screenshot and you'll have it. And you choose. Don't try to purify 3 things at a time. That is not focused intention. That's like machine gun spraying everything and see what falls down. No. When you achieve something magical, it's because you focused. It's those vectors that Elon Musk talked about instinctively, which literally exist. You know what? I'm going to change directions. Let me talk to you about those vectors. I think that today is not a great day for me, which may mean I'm going to have a great chat with you, because it means that I'm throwing off inhibitions. Like, yeah, what the hell do I care? Okay, I want to show you something. Talking about vectors. This is what over 70% of employees in the United States look like. See the clenched fists? By the way, clenched fists is also a sign of too much Wi-Fi and too much 5G. And you see little kids with their hands clenched. And I'm going to say this, okay, even though this is business, because if you get an employee that's doing that, that employee has already been invaded, and you don't know that they're going to be able to hold on to your intentions for the company. But anyway, over 80%, 90%, whatever, people today in this country look like this. They don't really want to do what they do for a living. And you know what? That's okay. But notice that if you take and add up all of the energy in the front of him, the energy towards a sales goal, and then the energy that's in the back that's really real, you have a lot more in resistance to being successful and to working than you have into that sales goal that anyway had to do with the company needing for you to sell more. You don't even like the company. So what you're seeing in the back is literal congestions of nanoparticles that are called astral particles. And the red ones have to do with fire. You have a congestion of fire, rage, fire, which is the fruit of the devil. Don't forget that. You have the anger, fire again, and then you have depression. All of that does not allow you to energize your intention to be successful. And you can say, well, but that, nobody knows that. Or you could simply not be aware that you really can't stand what you're doing. You could be emotionally dishonest to yourself. You could be telling yourself you like what you're doing. Well, you know what? I spent 28 years in that business that today is 50 some years. And I didn't want to accept the fact that I had to leave. First place, it was almost bankrupt. How do you leave something that's bankrupt? Well, you leave in bankruptcy, but if you don't want to leave in bankruptcy, how do you retire and give it to someone else? It's kind of like bankrupt. Well, I did it with a mantra. I did a year of mantra, but I knew before I did the mantra and then retired that if I didn't get out of there, it was going to go bankrupt because I was sabotaging it. I was no longer energizing it with success and joy because I did not feel that anymore. And it was due to a meditation and a dream that it was put in my face, in a meditation in which my intention was to find out what was going on with my business. Why was it failing at this after 20 some years, even though everybody else was failing? But that had nothing to do with me. I already knew that. We create our own reality. So an industry goes down, you're still going to have some people standing. Why are those standing and these went down? So I do this meditation. My intention is to find out what's going on. And I did it several days in a row. And finally, one day I got Merlin, the magician, stood in front of me and said, in the meditation, we know you hate the business. We know you hate the customers. So we're going to help you out. We're going to take you bankrupt. And that way you don't have to deal with them anymore. The business or the customers. I was like, whoa, wait a minute. Okay. I admit, I'm over this. A little bit, maybe. But I don't want to go bankrupt. What about those 30-some people that work for me? They all need their jobs. Some of them have been here 10 years. I can't do that. In addition to the humiliation of having such a big failure, because it was a big business, 3-story building, the whole country watching what we did. It's a small industry, but so we were, whatever. So, by the way, this is very Cuban. I'm half Cuban. So after a couple hours, I went, this makes sense. That's one thing. You cannot be playing games with reality if you want to set up a big business. You can't play games. Reality is reality on the physical dimension. So you either go to the other dimensions and fix it, but you have to face it. You either face it and accept it, or you go to the other dimensions, you fix it. So I faced the fact that I wasn't going to be able to rein myself back into loving this business. I had already created 4 major shifts in the business in the 20-some years. There was no more shifts. It was small type business. It was big for that type of industry, but it wasn't anything to where you can, unless you want multiple stores, which in my industry doesn't work. In that industry, doesn't work. Everybody that opened multiple stores, their quality diminished. And I knew that I wasn't interested enough to keep up the quality. Okay. I decided to retire. The next day after that meditation, I went, I'm sorry I'm taking so long, but this particular story helps a lot of people. I went to the business the next day and I said, I'm retiring. Everybody said, you're crazy. And my ex-husband said, you gotta retire, you're bankrupt. You can't turn this over to somebody. What are you doing? I said, well, I either retire or we all go home. And I'm not sure that they heard me, but for 1 year, I did a mantra. Today, you can do it for a week and it will make a huge difference. That was 30 years ago. The mantra was, please God, help me with my intention to align with my prosperous mission. And I set the date, a year from that date, the day after the Merlin story, and I retired. Actually, I was escorted out. Me out and said, you know what? You don't really need to be here anymore. We're covering everything. You're retiring anyway. Why don't you retire a little bit early? No problem. They wanted me out of there because I had a lousy attitude. I wasn't happy when customers came in to spend money. I also didn't understand why people were spending that much money on what I was selling. This is silly. You can buy it not other places for less, but maybe you don't need to spend that much. A value thing. It had to do with my values. I was, by the way, an immigrant 3 times, I think. I was put technically in jail when I was 2 years old for 2 years. The whole mess of being a mind control victim. By the way, I was on my way to Las Vegas when I was 2. Interesting, right? Military, Las Vegas, 2, all the stuff that's going on. So I retired. So what is my message of this very long part of this session? You need to love what you're doing. If something's going wrong, really wrong, and you're not doing well, you need to look to see if you really, really like that. Or if there's some adjustments that you can make to where you can be more successful at that you're already in and that is paying you some money, some income, or that you want to have pay you. The mantra is, please God help me with my intention to align with my prosperous mission. Okay, you got that? If you look at the people that make the most money and are the most successful, the point at which they're the most successful, you're going to find that at that point, they loved what they were doing. They loved it, 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 they loved it. And they made a lot of money, or they made a lot of whatever it is that they were looking for. Do you love what you're doing? The energy transfers. People feel it. If you are applying for a job someplace because you need a job or you need a change, but you don't really want that job, do the prosperous mission mantra, and that will take off of that application, whether it's on the internet or it's physical, it's probably on the internet. That application is not going to have a bad energy of, I don't really want this job, but I need it. I hope you choose me. And you're going, listen, I have all these qualifications. Come on, they need me. Yeah, but you know what? There's this energy on top of your application. And for one reason or another, they're not going to see the application, or when they look at it, they're not going to get a good vibe. And that's it. Next. Reality, I tell people, don't let reality in the physical dimension block you from creating what you want. You're thinking that your reality in the physical dimension, that you are so good and your bio is so great. What do they call it in big business? Your resume is so great that you're going to get it. Well, but that's only one. That's only part of it. There's a reason why things happen. And if they don't make a lot of sense to you, it's because you don't have all the information. You're missing everything that's from the other dimensions. And did you know? Reality is created in the other dimensions. What you see in the physical dimension is a manifestation. That's why they use the word manifestation so much in all the alternative stuff. I don't use that word. I do create. It's a manifestation of something already from the other dimensions. I was manifesting a bankruptcy, but I didn't know it. But I didn't want to be bankrupt. But I had a subconscious, deep desire to get the heck out of there. And that subconscious desire and intention was going to win, because I couldn't take it anymore. There is a question. What about those that don't have a business, can't find anything you truly love? You're missing passion. You have a problem, a psychological, energetic issue in your life. Why don't you do the mantra? Please God help me with my intention to align with my prosperous mission. If it's your mission, okay. Let me say something in Spanish. Sandra, este es un evento en inglés. Por favor, no pongas nada ahí en español, okay? Lost my train of thought again. Let me take out the chat, because I get caught up with that. And I'm a bit shaken up today. There's an awful lot going on, guys. If you're not aware and awake right now after revelations about the fact that ETs exist, the US government is admitting it. They have bodies and they have spaceships. If that has not shaken your world, maybe you're still asleep and you need to wake up. All of that stuff is multidimensional. It's not on the physical dimension, even though apparently they do have some physical dimension bodies and ships, but most of them are not. When you see those videos, All of a sudden you see a spaceship and then it's gone. How'd that happen? Multidimensional. They know how to go from one dimension to the other. You at least need to know about those dimensions. So I'm going to open the chat again for a couple of minutes and then we're going to close this down. And I hope that my erratic emotions did not translate too badly in this particular sharing of what it is that I have learned a lot of decades. You're going to, okay, Cruz Corbin says that's him going to an interview. Nope. So you keep asking why you're not getting the job if you have all the requirements. You need to do that mantra and find out what it is that's going on. Let's see if there's any self-sabotaging. That is actually the word that's using, but self-sabotaging is really a part of you, your astral spirit, that is the part of you that has all your emotions. That part of you doesn't want it or wants it really badly. And your personality that is much more put together and much more focused. And this is what I should want. So I want this because I should want this. This is going to be good for me. If you have to start talking like that, that is not for you. Do the mantra. It's going to help you. It liberates the mind from all the other stuff. Okay? So I think I'm going to end. And it was a pleasure talking to you. Let me put on the link, and hopefully that link still works. Yes, it does. At this point, it does still work. It's the Fox multidimensional business model. Yes, it still works. So you're going to be able to see it. Here it is. And it is someplace on my website or continue it there in Spanish so that you can read it. And what does that model include? It includes the influence of spirits. Because in my opinion, the thing with the photograph on the top of that article had to do with spirit influence. It was not a wise business decision. It doesn't make any sense. And yet, the bad spirits are showing you that there's something that's the matter. That's why they were able to do what they did. So then you have to go to, spirit interference, and then you go to what is broken in my business or in me that these spirits were able to come in. That information is very empowering. You don't just go, oh, there's a spirit there. Your kid wakes up in the middle of the night and says there's a spirit, or something comes out of the closet or from under the bed or behind the door, which is where spirits like to be. You should reassure the person, the kid, that there is a spirit there. You can't block reality, but if you don't want to do that, at least ask yourself, why is this bedroom broken? Because that spirit can only get in there if you're broken. And that happened to me on my website, can only get in because my website is broken. Which, by the way, today we started and contracted somebody new, and we are going to be fixing that. But it's a sign there's something broken here. If not, they couldn't come in. And I am going to end this exactly at 33 minutes and 33 seconds. Love you all.